for me is very real. And I know these characters are not, these worlds are not, but I need to make them tangible. I'm not trying to exercise any demons that I have. That's what I meant when I say it's not, cathartic.
Welcome to the Shaping Freedom podcast, where we dive into conversations that inspire personal growth, transformation, and clarity in challenging times. I'm your host, Lisane Basquiat. Today, I have the humbled honor of sitting down with Edwin Lee Gibson, an award-winning actor, playwright, and director whose journey has been anything but ordinary. From his early days on stage at just 4 years old to a career spanning over 100 plays and films, Edwin has carved out a space in the arts that is deeply intentional and profoundly moving. Many of you may recognize him as the unforgettable Ebraheim on FX's The Bear, a role that showcased his ability to bring depth, humanity, and vulnerability to the screen. But beyond the accolades, Edwin's story is one of resilience, artistic integrity, and the unwavering pursuit of truth in storytelling. He has lived a life shaped by both struggle and triumph, by the lessons of theater and the realities of life. Today, we're going to explore the mind and heart behind the artist, diving into his creative process, his personal evolution, and what it truly means to shape one's freedom. I expect that this is going to be a powerful and layered conversation, one that I know will leave us all thinking a little deeper about art, identity, and the choices we make to live authentically. Welcome to the podcast, Edwin.
Thank you. And thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I'll keep it short now. It'll get a little bit longer-winded later.
Okay. Let's just have this conversation. I guess one question for me is really diving a little deeper into this idea of storytelling. And you mentioned briefly, so Lynette is the person that who connected us. Mm-hmm. She very excitedly mentioned on more than one occasion, I think that you and Edwin Lee Gibson have to have a conversation. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And she's like, I really think you all should have a conversation. So I never asked her why. And I never asked her what questions I should ask you or any of that. So I figured that that's something that we're going to explore today. But I do know that a lot of the work that you do, from what I understand, is about storytelling. So what I'd love to know is, tell me about your relationship with storytelling as it relates to the work that you've been doing.
I think that's the work that I do. People don't understand that sometimes that the characters in a play or characters in that appear on screen, they're not real, but they do provide an opportunity for discourse. Mm-hmm. They provide an opportunity for critique, connection. And so that's my relationship to art, is the opportunity to make commentary on something, to even set my own biases on the mantle while and have those biases watch me work, because these characters are not me. Mm-hmm. And I don't judge them. That's one of my things, is that I can't afford to judge the character, or I can't play it effectively. But then I can find out a bit more about myself, about the world of this world, which is in some way related to the world, of the present circumstances. So that's what I get an opportunity to do with storytelling. Yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
It does.
It does. Okay.
It does. It leads into the conversation. It's an opening.
Yeah.
It's an opening. So you mentioned And I'm glad you mentioned that these characters that you play and that actors play are not real people. They're a part, a piece of a lot of different aspects of us as humans.
Right.
Which of your characters have you enjoyed playing the most? If that's a fair question.
It's a fair question. I don't know if I have a fair answer. The other characters might approach me in my dreams and ask me why I didn't choose them. But I think the characters I've had the most fun, the most connection with most recently have been, I don't often get to play real people. And even when I do that, I think they're even commentary. So 2018, my first job back in the States, because I was living in Paris working with a theater company, was playing Dick Gregory in a solo show at Arena Stage in DC called Turn Me Loose. And it was about him at these different stages of his life. And it was like a few months after he passed away, and I never got to meet Papa Gregory, but I'd always loved him from the time I was a kid. Then maybe a year and a half ago, I played Lincoln Theodore Monroe Andrew Perry, known to everyone as Step and Fetch It, here in Los Angeles. Actually, my first play ever in Los Angeles over at the Kirk Douglas Theater. In both those instances, you know, the storytelling was the story. And the story in both those instances is how brown-skinned males of African descent in this country. I'm brown, so I don't really use the term black. But kind of but what is the real conundrum between your livelihood and your voice? Because these are two men who never had their say. Well, one never had his say, Mr. Perry, and Mr. Gregory had a lot to say. But in both instances, you have people that have to make a choice between their livelihood and their voice, because you need freedom of speech, but then there's some stuff that comes with it. And so those were two of them. Most recently, I really love this character, Ebraheim, I'm playing now on The Bear, because he's so mysterious, and he was originally described to me as a mystery who's lived 1,000 lives.
That's kind of what he looks like.
That's what I wanted. So I really lean into that storytelling, the story that you're not telling, but maybe you're showing.
Yeah. We see that.
Yeah. So those have been really, really great. I've had so many. I've done 104 productions in the theater alone. Oh, okay. And so there's so many, and they all mean a bit. Like Oedipus, the retelling of the Seven Against Thebes. In the story, Oedipus is already dead, but in this telling, the Seven, which I did in 2006 at New York Theater Workshop, he's brought back as this overriding, menacing memory to both Eteocles and Polynices. He's the one that gets them to fight each other. And what's that lineage as it pertains to what one generation does to another generation. You know, dream deferred doesn't just happen by osmosis. There's someone who, you know, there's an activity that's deferring that dream. And in this sense, it's a man who didn't think a lot of himself and went through a lot because he had a relationship with his own mother, you know, Oedipus, and his life was so war-torn that he brought it back on his sons.
Yes.
And it's kind of what we do
Absolutely.
So being able to tell that story and understand that story, even though my father wasn't like that, you know, my parents split, but my dad was there, which speaks to a thing about, is it about a man in the house, or is it about the man that's still there for you? You know, people have these things that happen between people, but a father who wants to be there and a mother who allows a father to be there. So there's all these things about storytelling, as you see.
Yeah.
So I'm invested in just kind of how I think about things beyond it. I wrote a solo play called 5 Till, where the character is sitting on death row 5 minutes from his execution. But in this hour and 15-minute piece, we find out about his past. He's a career criminal, but his parents were together. He didn't have a hard life. He chose this. But he didn't do this thing. But it makes it harder to believe if he did this thing. Because he was the last person to see the child alive. And he lied. But he still said, I ain't done nothing. A lot of cats in jail say, I ain't done nothing. So I'm always just trying to figure out how I can tweak the storytelling to force the audience's hand, what they see juxtaposed to what maybe what they're seeing. Yeah. So
and to see more than what feels obviously evident.
Yes, because I'm seeing more.
Yeah.
In these characters and just trying to really figure it out. Like, no one's ever heard Mr. Perry's voice. They only heard him in Step and Fetch It. And so no matter how old he got, you know, you still in the videos, you still saw him, some version of that. In this business, there's this thing about the mask. And these characters that you become, and everyone knows you as that character. And as much as you may hate it, it's the thing that eventually gets you the attention that you also hate, but by virtue of the time, crave, and blah, blah. So there's all that stuff in there.
Yeah.
So it's not just doing the voice that everyone remembers. It's kind of what I took a line from the play that said, once you put on the mask, it's hard to take it off. And that's what I rooted the character in. Just that one line. Because that's the story to tell.
Everything else is just the context around.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But that's my job as an artist, is to find that one line, you know, that one thing that can illuminate the character, the story, and my own suppositions, my own preconceptions, my own choices as an actor.
You mentioned your father, and you mentioned I was raised by my father as my primary caretaker. My mother was alive and she was around, and we had a relationship with her for sure. And my mother and I were very close, but I was raised by my father in the household. And it created a very unique, or abnormal at the time, experience, because I got to see the intimacy of a relationship with a father, with a man who's in the household, that I think was very different from the experience of my friends, my schoolmates, who, by virtue of the fact that a lot of times when a man and a woman are in a household raising children, the woman becomes the primary person. So I got to see things a little bit differently. And it has helped me throughout my life to also see that the importance of a person knowing their father, and the importance of having a father in the home, the importance of having a woman in the home, absolutely, and having a father in the home, or knowing, not, they don't have to be in the home together, but you got to know who both people are. And I think that we have gotten so far away from that in so many ways. And so my heart jumped a little bit when you mentioned having been raised by your father and the fact that your father was there.
Yeah. Well, my parents split when I was 7. My brother was 10. And my mom, of course, dated other men. But every other weekend, I was at my dad's house. He would drive from Port Arthur, Texas, about an hour and a half from Houston, pick us up, take us. And then he finally moved back to Houston. I actually lived with him for about 9 or 10 months. Because I think at a certain point, boys need their fathers.
Absolutely. Girls do too.
Oh, yes. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I think that's true. But the fact that my mom made really good choices about men. One in particular, the only cat I think my dad ever liked, Ernest Hodges. And Ernest is a lot of the reasons why I made some of the choices I made. But my dad, garbage man. And he fixed cars after he bumped garbage, and he fixed cars in the afternoon. And I say I don't do what he did, but I do what I do the way he did what he did. I attack my art. I'm like a garbage man. You get up and you go to work and you work hard. Ain't no days off, no matter how you feel. And I think it was good. I mean, that 9-10 months was what I needed to be with him for that while. And he even understood why I left and went back to my mom. She understood less, or maybe she didn't, why I had to leave as a runaway when you're 14.
To go live with him, or?
Well, yeah, a little bit of both. Yeah, but because there's a confusion that happens.
Of course.
You don't want to harm your mother by saying this is not what I need, and you don't even know how to articulate that. But to her credit, the night I called her and asked her to come pick me up, she came. She picked me up, and we never talked about it. Never had a conversation about it. So I think she got it. Yeah. So but that's really thing that a lot of things that kind of formulate your thinking and seeing that relationship, because you can have two parents in the household and it'd be a crap show.
Because the kids have to experience that tension.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And, takes two people in their 20s that have been married for 12 years to decide we have to go different ways. Because they were married when they were teenagers. My mom said there'll be no, premarital sex. My dad from Mississippi, he probably just heard the word sex and said, I'm in.
Let's do it. I'm in.
But and they had my older brother and then me, and they toughed it out. I think it was an advantageous situation for me overall.
Thank you for being willing to share that, because I think I observe a lot of people struggling with that today, with the perception that I can do it by myself. And one of the things that I experienced, and it wasn't the easiest thing to experience, because as you mentioned, as a kid, when your parents aren't together, it puts you in this position of having to make decisions and choices that you wouldn't have to make otherwise. And they're hard because there are adult people on the other end of those decisions who who you have to confront or request things of.
Who need you. Yeah.
And vice versa.
Right.
And I think that I'm glad that you've been willing to chat about that a little bit, because that is such a struggle today, where people get so caught up in the relationship that they're in that they at times lose sight of how desperately our children really do need us, and how desperately our children really do need us to have the ability and the maturity and the emotional intelligence to be able to maybe not be together, but find a way to communicate enough so that that child can grow up in a safe compartment.
Yes.
And I will say, you know, my parents, my father was I'm first generation, and my father was from Haiti. And my mother was Black Puerto Rican from Bushwick, Brooklyn. And they met, and they were also married for 12 years. They got married a little older. And my mother had some mental health issues along the way, and my father had his things. And what they were able to do was to co-parent in the best way that they could by just being who they were and understanding that we needed both of them. Yes. And so I just wanted to kind of take a moment out, because any opportunity that I have to encourage people to figure it out, because what we wind up doing is sending people out into the world half filled. And you expect them to have a whole life, and it's not possible.
That's true. At a certain point, I had to realize that whatever there was that happened, it's on me now.
Yeah.
I can't always use that as the why, because it becomes a crutch.
That's right.
Then you have the potential to not do or not address.
Right.
Because you can always say, well, my past was this, and then you bring kids on.
Yeah.
And you saddle them.
And everyone that you touch.
Yeah. And everyone you touch. Yeah, true. So, I guess it's congruent with one of the conversations that I had with myself as an artist, very young. And I encourage people to do this now. I sat in a room alone and had a real honest conversation about what I could do without. Because if I'm making my life as an artist.
Yeah.
I knew that when I was like 18, 19. I mean, I made the decision when I was 16.
Yeah.
That I was going to be an artist.
That was going to be my next one.
Yeah.
You just knew.
Yeah. 16. But then you have that conversation about what you can do without. And I use that to say that I think people have to sometimes sit in the room with themselves and have a conversation. And, that's where I think God is.
Yeah. It's in that silence.
It's in that silence. It's in that mirror.
Yeah.
Whatever we call God, that's, universe, the creator. That's where it resides. So having those conversations with yourself, addressing those things, and it's okay. It's okay to address those things and go back out into the world a bit untethered, a bit less tethered, I should say.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Every little bit helps.
Yeah.
So you knew at 16 years old that you wanted to tell stories?
I said, if I can just make my life in the theater, I don't care if I ever become famous or not. I just want to do this the rest of my life.
Do you know that we have a line of Shaping Freedom wellness products? Each are beautifully crafted and designed to support you in cherishing your mind, body, emotions, and soul. Carve out a sanctuary in your life with our Luxe sustainable yoga and meditation mats, essential oil candles, and more. Embrace self-care and reflection with every item, lovingly created to enhance your daily practice of spending time on you. Elevate your wellness journey with Shaping Sanctuary Collection, because you deserve to feel balanced, nurtured, and inspired. Visit shapingsanctuary.com for more information. What does acting or embodying a character, what does that feel like?
I have no idea. It's not often that I'm present.
Okay.
And I'm one of the fortunate ones, I think, whatever a character actor is. Not a movie star. I'm not playing me or a version of me. I love that I get to disappear. Mm-hmm. And I can feel when I'm not there. I'm
really?
Like, oh, yes, yeah. It's kind of cool. It's really, really nice. I mean, of course, I think Alfred Woodard had this great quote once. She said, no actor should send themselves someplace they can't get back from. I don't do that.
Say that again?
That no actor should send themselves someplace emotionally that they can't get back from.
Okay.
We don't get paid enough for that. I think that was her. That's what she was saying. So I've never harmed myself in any kind of way, but it's like something about, okay, here's this character. I need to play this character and not playing Edwin. Now there are parts of Edwin that I give to it.
Yeah, of course.
Right? But being able to disappear into this space that this character needs to be in. But yeah, that's what it feels like. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm telling this story. It's really as simple as Once Upon a Time. That's what I work from.
That's starting the story with Once Upon a Time.
That's what, whenever I'm working, that's what I start from.
Wow.
Yeah. Once upon a time, there was this East African soldier who transplanted to Somalia. He fought in the Civil War and made his way all the way around the world to the U.S. and then to Chicago. So that's kind of how I started with Ebraheim.
Oh, wow.
It's just once upon a time. You can start to fill in. Now you can start to fill in the story. So that's really, I don't think I've even ever said that to anyone before.
Well, thank you for sharing it.
That's ever come up like that. Not in that way.
How did you know? So you said you knew at 16. Was there a moment? Was there an experience that you had? How did you know that this was going to be the work that you would, the creativity that you would dive into? Yeah.
Okay. Well, I started singing with my mother when I was like 4 or 5. I was one of the top choral singers as a kid. Auditioned for the National All Boys Choir when I was 11. Made it, but they didn't take me because I wasn't 12 yet. I'd have been 12 the next month. So I vowed my mother I would never sing again. Now my mom was a singer, trained in classical voice. And so she had a fit. The next year, I found acting. And by the time I was 14, I started taking it seriously. And then when I was 16, I was just like, oh yeah, I see this as something I can do rest of my life. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's what I want to do, and it's what I'm going to do. I didn't go to drama school, so I've never had an acting class. Outside of high school, I haven't had a, trained. I wasn't a trained actor. Of course, I was trained by many great artists in the theater that I got to hang around and watch work, and that told me to shut up or they're going to choke me. And they actually would have. So you had to listen, but encouraged me and taught me a lot.
Yeah.
But there was just something there that just felt like, oh, this is it. Dick Gregory, Baba Gregory. I can't even call him Dick Gregory. You have to say Baba Gregory. It's got this thing about the magic glasses and the rules. You never take them off. You can't see things as they should be, only as how they are. and you can't force anyone else to wear them, which is a great place to be, but also comes out a very lonely place to be. I feel like I got the magic glasses on.
Will you repeat those 3 things again?
So you can never take them off.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see the world as you'd like it to be. You can only see it as it is.
Yeah.
I'm kind of messing it
Paraphrasing,
up a bit.
that's okay.
And you can never force anyone else to wear them.
You can't force another person to see what you see.
Right.
That middle one has been the catalyst to some pretty significant change in my life at different times, where I've had that moment. And I don't know that I ever heard that, Dick Gregory. But that moment when I recognized and realized that I have to see things for how they are, not for how I want them to be.
Yeah.
Because you can't do anything about it if you're looking at something through the lens of illusion.
We need not look any further than the American dream.
We're preaching here today.
It's just an illusion.
Exactly.
I love that song.
Exactly. Me too.
Yeah.
Great, great song. Which was the most challenging role to play?
I think every single one of them is called for something that's challenged me, even when I didn't think it would. I don't know if I have an answer for that because there have been so many. They've all challenged me in some way. If it wasn't the amount of text, it was the style. If it wasn't the style, it was my perception. If it wasn't my perception, it was the dichotomy, how far away from me it was. So I've been challenged by them all. I think, which is why I think I've stayed as curious after 44 years of doing this.
Wow.
In the theater and now TV and film. I have this thing now where, especially in the theater, that the role must frighten me. If I'm not afraid, then I'm probably not gonna.
The prospect of playing the role.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like playing, Stephen Fetchit, playing Lincoln Perry. Well, I guess the play was 108 pages. I was on 98 of them. And just what I wanted to do with it, which everyone tried to talk me out of, the director and the writer who had written it, and the play had been done over 12 years. And no one had ever come with this interpretation. And so it frightened everyone. It frightened me, but, why should that stop me?
Right. It's a challenge.
So, yeah.
It's a challenge.
Let me find out. If I've got this idea, this concept, let's examine that a little bit. Oh, let's examine that a little bit more. And pretty soon, you're in this beautiful space. It's not a hole. Well, not as I see it.
Yeah.
But every night, just deathly afraid, going on stage after all these years. And that's the space that you want to be in, because then it gets quiet. For me, it gets quiet. There's not so much going on because I can't afford to have too much going on.
Yeah.
So, they've all asked something of me that I'm indebted to.
Is that the thing for you? Is that the joy in this?
Yeah, we just figuring out, what I'm capable of. That's a joy for me. It's like, wow, being able to feel that people are dancing with me each night, because I only know as much about the character. I only know as much about acting as the last role I did.
Okay.
Each night in the theater, each night for me is the first time the character has ever said these words. So it's not Edwin performing. It's Edwin learning and listening every night. So the audience is getting something new kind of in the same moment that I'm discovering.
Yeah. They're bearing witness to your discovery of something that's inside of you.
Night after night.
Wow.
I mean, there's stuff I know, but then there's stuff I learn in the moment that night. And then how can I take that learning the next night without trying to recreate it? Because it's a new day, right? The audience is new.
Yeah.
So am I. I'm not the same person I was yesterday.
Yeah. Do you take those lessons into your, I guess, everyday life? Maybe a little unfair, but do you take those lessons into your personal life?
Yeah, there's some lessons I get from it. There's some similarities that I see, and I'm like, oh wow, you might want to work on that. Or wow, you're okay with that. You're okay in that. But yeah, there are things that you get that I take with me. I don't take the character home. That's not something I do. I don't take the character home. I take a nice long drive after the show. I'll take the long way home. If I have to walk to and from the theater, if the theater is like maybe, let's say 2.5 blocks when I did Turn Me Loose in DC, I'd walk 6 blocks. I'd go the other way. Just so I have time to just kind of, I'll let it go.
Come back to yourself.
Yeah, or just, and give myself some time and some space. But or if I have to drive from, like when I did Fetch Clay at the Kirk Douglas Theater here in Culver City, I live in Sherman Oaks. Instead of getting on the 405 and going straight, I take Sepulveda, which is longer, and the stoplights, and it's winding, and I've got a cigar, because that's what I do. I light a cigar and just drive home, the speed limit. I'm driving 30, 35. Whether it's rehearsal or whether it's after a show. But that's just to, because I'm always working. And part of the work is to evaluate things, then let it go.
I think it's so important. And I think one of the lessons, the gems that I'm getting out of this conversation is the importance of space, creating space and allowing stillness.
Yeah.
So that you can ponder whatever it is that you need to. But it's you cannot do that when you're constantly stimulated, or when you are jumping from one thing to the next, jumping from work to home.
Yeah.
Even when you're stepping outside of yourself to play a completely different person. I think that that's such a valuable way of being, both for yourself and for the people that you interact with.
I'm really mandate that of myself. Art is not cathartic. I'm not doing this to, hide something, or because I'm this, or it's just my soul and has to all these other kind of airy things, I think I'm an air sign, Libra, and I don't like the airy things. Like that, but
Libras say that, but
yeah.
Well, that's a conversation for another time. I got a daddy who is a Libra and a son who's a Libra, and
what date?
Y'all say that.
I'm September 24th.
My dad was September 29th.
Okay.
And my son is September 28th.
Okay. Yeah, I have a cousin September 28th.
Yeah.
Or see the 30th, one of the two.
Yeah.
And I have another cousin that's October 13th. But yeah, I kind of see myself, I'm like right on that cusp. The first full day of autumn is the 24th of September.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So that's my birthday. So it's like, Jesus.
Yeah, you start a whole new season.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it's very, very real. Art for me is very real. And I know these characters are not, and these worlds are not, but I need to make them tangible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to exercise any demons that I have. That's what I meant when I say it's not cathartic. And some people feel that way, and that's fine. I speak of my characters in the third person.
Mm-hmm.
They're not me, so I don't say I.
Yeah.
Say them. Give them that
Give
space.
Give them their own space. Yeah.
So that I can see them adequately.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I learned in high school. I wouldn't have lasted in drama school.
Why not?
No, they'd have gotten rid of me, or I'd have left. I just wouldn't.
Why?
I don't have a lot of patience for all that stuff. All that stuff.
You just wanted to get into the art of it?
I think there's a thing about being confined.
HaraHub Carlsbad is a co-working space and member community designed to empower entrepreneurs. More than just a workspace, HaraHub Carlsbad is a business accelerator and a connected network of successful entrepreneurs. Imagine a collaborative, serene, and spa-inspired environment where you can thrive. Our unique community allows each member to be both a guide and a student, fostering leadership and continuous growth for both you and your business. Experience an uplifting, supportive atmosphere that will elevate your entrepreneurial journey. For more information about HaraHub Carlsbad or to schedule a tour, visit harahub.com/Carlsbad. We also have locations in Temecula, Irvine, Washington, D.C., and HaraHub Carlsbad is one of 3 HaraHub locations in San Diego, the others being in Mission Valley and La Jolla.
I used to say that I'm a musician trapped in an actor's body because it's about the space. I need the space, and there's the thing about being kind of confined when you're relegated to these regimented ways of doing things and these different methods that people teach and do. But I'm just like, okay, can we get around to to the art,
to the thing?
Yeah. Which is just air, which is stepping out onto the air.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What, if anything, would you tell your younger self? What advice would you give your younger actor self?
Maybe this is advice, but I think I would say to my younger self, you were right. You were right. Because I said, when I was mid-20s, I said, the kind of actor you see yourself as, it's going to take a while longer. If you can just hang around until you're 40.
Oh, wow.
If you can just hang around till you're 40, things will start. And so, yeah, I don't think I have anything. There's nothing I think that I would tell him, or any advice I would give him now about how to do things differently, because I really think I listened. I had that conversation alone. I told myself then, in a separate conversation a few years later, you got to define success for yourself.
Always.
You're looking at other people right now and what they've got, and when they have it, define success for yourself. What is success? What does it look like? All right, making my living as an actor in the theater. Not having to have a job outside of acting. Because I was deathly afraid that if that paid more, I might stop doing this. Because I've seen people do it. I've seen actors that become bartenders turn into bartenders that act.
Yeah.
And the one thing you're going to make a lot more money bartending than you're going to make acting. I couldn't afford that.
Yeah.
And I made a promise to myself. And, you know, I believe in making promises to oneself and keeping the promises that you made to yourself.
You seem to have incredible work ethic.
Classically trained vocalist / social worker and a garbage man. Yeah, I know how to work. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, let's get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a very, very fortunate man.
Do you have any advice for a younger person, not yourself, who has the desire to explore art as a path for themselves?
Understand the shortcomings and the love failings of the people that love you, because they're going to be scared to death.
Yeah.
What they say, you know, their negativity, a lot of it's fear.
Yeah.
They're afraid for you. So if you can understand that, that'll help you. Don't let that stop you, but do understand. My mother didn't want it, and finally I had to say to her, I said, you pass this artist gene on to me, and then you have the nerve to tell me not to use it? She just looked at me and she said, get out of my face.
I don't hear the truth right now.
Right. But she was so afraid.
Yeah.
My dad, who never saw me work, he always said, oh, I'll catch the next one. Mm-hmm. He said to me, I don't know nothing about that acting stuff. All you doing is stand up there lying. But it's your life.
Yeah.
Anybody give you any problems, you tell them, come see me.
Yeah.
And he's the one person that never saw me.
He didn't.
Never got to see. He always said,
Wow.
I'll come see the next one.
Wow.
But that's what he said to me when I was like 14, 15 years old. And right before I got my first national kind of thing, he passed away in 1988. Yeah, so I say, you know, recognize that people that care about you and people that will be naysayers should not be the reason that you don't go forth.
Yeah.
You got to accept responsibility for why you decided to stop.
Yeah. That's interesting because in my family, what you're bringing to my mind is my brother. His struggle with not having someone to really understand the choices he was making, because there was that path there was nothing to point to. He was making it.
Yeah.
And having our mom, who similarly was like, no, you go do that thing. You know, she really never got involved in it, but she was encouraging, just like, live your life. But, you know, that wasn't something that was within her willingness or ability to really get into. And my father, who was really afraid and who was himself a bit of a pioneer, and who was himself a very brave person who thought about what he wanted to do and was very determined to do it and had very strong work ethic and put all of those things, shared all those things with my brother, but who was also very afraid that my brother, you know, a young Black man from Brooklyn with dreadlocks, wouldn't be able to survive. And this was a man, my father, who was Haitian, and who, for him, the path was, you go to school, you're white collar, you know, and you put on a suit and you make your way that way, and you take care of your family and you take care of your responsibilities. And so here you have my brother, who is this creative guy who's really making his own way, confronting everything that my father was afraid of. And I don't have any regrets about my life at all. And I don't spend a lot of time on coulda, shoulda, woulda, you know, and I would have loved to have seen them bring that full circle.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen them. It was starting to happen, but to really be at that place where my father could fully, with my brother, acknowledge that what my brother was living out was very much like who my father was, but he was living it out in a different way.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes parents don't realize that the reason their child is so fearless is because what they've seen in their parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to do your thing, but the only way I can be this fearless is by seeing that you were so fearless.
Right.
And it was funny that in 2006, my mom came to see me do the play at New York Theater Workshop. That it was funny because it garnered me the Obie Award that year, and the solo cover of The Village Voice.
You are quite accomplished, sir. I must say, when I went in to research, I was like, wow.
Yeah, it was so,
wow.
It's so funny. My mom and I were having dinner because I brought her to New York. And at one point in the dinner, she said, "I'm sorry." She said, "I'm so glad you didn't listen to me." She started crying. She said, I'm so happy you didn't listen to me."
Yeah.
"And I'm sorry." And, it wasn't what I was looking for. I knew she was afraid.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, "Oh, you just feel this way." No, I know she's afraid. I was happy that, you're happy that you hear something like that from your mother.
Yeah, of course.
But I was happy that she got to say it and to see it. That she could see herself under those lights.
Yeah.
Because growing up in a small town in Texas, being classically trained in voice, what else was there? I mean, she was an amazing artist. But yeah, I never feel out of place. I've never felt out of place anywhere in the world, and I've been all over as an artist, as a person, from any age. I've never felt out of place. It's because of them.
Yes.
My mother would say, "Now, you just remember you're no better than anyone else and you're no worse than anyone else." And my dad would say, "No, there's some you better than." So
you're better than some people. Yeah, but you have all of it.
Right. And they were both correct.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So I was able to move. You can't intimidate me. I'm Margaret and Eartha Lee's son. My last name is Gibson. What else you got?
Me, my sister, and my brother set out into the world, whether we said that literally or said it through action and through stature. Like, we know who we are. I think that no matter what happens in the story of a family, if you can get that, that you know who you are, because this world can be challenging.
It can be. And I never wanted to disappoint my parents.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting, this may be interesting or not interesting at all, but even not finishing what I started as an artist would in some way be like, your parents produced a failure, so a quitter. And I would not have that be
your story.
My story. I mean, even if no one else even thought that, I would think that.
For yourself.
No, they didn't raise a quitter.
Yeah.
And so I continue that because it's a beautiful ride, an intricate ride, and I might have said the universe and I made a decision a long time ago, so I'm never gonna not work.
You're living out that contract.
Yeah, because I'm always gonna work hard when I'm given the opportunity.
Yeah.
So
That's so valuable. And I think it's so valuable in a time when people, someone needs to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Someone needs to hear that. Someone needs to understand that it's this illusion that things happen, so quickly. It's just not true.
Yeah.
For 99.9% of the people. You have to work hard, even if it looks like it's super simple.
Yeah.
There's so much that went into that moment where when you get to observe a person's accomplishment, there's work that has gone into that. It's important.
Yeah. My mom used to always say, baby, don't let them see you sweat. So okay. But she also talked about herself when she says, it's raining outside. I can't go out there because sugar melts in the rain.
Good for her. My father used to tell me some variation of don't let him see you sweat. I don't know that's worked in some ways. In other ways, I've had to kind of redefine that in a way that works for me.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would nothing wrong with, it's what it is when you get outside. But while you're there, there's no place that you should feel anyone that's listening, it matters to. This matters to. No place that you should feel out of place.
That's right.
You've got this much right to this. Yeah. The bounty of this world as anyone else does.
Because you're in your place. This is your place.
Dig it.
Wherever you are.
Dig that.
Did you ever sing again?
My characters sing.
Okay.
I don't do musicals.
Okay. They just borrow your lungs.
Well, yeah. I've done plays where I've had to sing.
Okay.
But I always say that I'm not a singer, but my characters sing.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's also an out in case it's done bad, it's done poorly. Hey, it's not me, it's the character.
It's the character. That character can't sing. Had a bad day.
Yeah.
How can we support you, Edwin?
Support art.
Yeah.
Just support art. I don't know. If you dig something, tell me you dig it. If you don't dig something, tell me you dig it. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're artists. We all miss the mark at some point.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the thing.
Yeah.
If you dig something, let me know. Let folks know. Watch The Bear and dig that. We start season 4 coming up at the end of this month.
You start filming, or is this thing coming out? Because I've been waiting.
We start filming season 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Waiting.
Yeah, and I just finished stage 1 of a piece that I wrote. Directed a piece that I wrote. We shot it in Tucson, Arizona.
Okay.
Called A Pink and Red Dress Made of Satin, Covered in Flowers, Mostly Roses.
A pink and red dress covered in satin.
Made of satin.
Made of satin.
Covered in flowers, mostly roses. Yeah.
Where can we?
Working on now getting more money to finish the first book.
Okay.
They're like eventually be 3 half-hour stories. I should say story 2. Mm-hmm. So we're in story 1 now. Yeah, so we're raising money for that. I'm going to do a couple of showings of the raw footage. Mm-hmm. One hopefully before I leave, like in a week or so, and then we'll do a couple more before we go back and shoot the rest of it in the summer to try to just get more investment.
Okay.
I used all my money for this.
For this one.
Yeah, for this first stage.
What about this led you to do that?
People like to talk a lot. I do this, I do that. And people say, oh, very, very nice. And everyone's busy. Mm-hmm. I said, okay, let me go and make something and show people what I do. You can sit and talk about it and never get anything done and wait for people to give you money, or you can be proactive. The universe will take care of things.
That's right.
And so this wasn't the piece I thought I'd lead with. I was 2022 23 fellow in the Sony Television Pictures writing program. And so I want them to know as well as FX to know what I do. So you go and make something. Mm-hmm. And then now you can say, oh, wow, he can produce, he can write on this level. And he's an actor on this level as well. Mm. Okay. So maybe we need to do something here.
That's wonderful.
But if not, I can't sit still and make art. And so now we're just looking for a little bit of other people's money. I still got mine there, but gee whiz.
Yeah.
That went quickly.
That's how it goes.
That went quickly. Jeez.
Support art and support artists.
Yeah. But I think not so willy nilly. We have to be discerning. And
no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to critique artists because they look like us, but don't say everything is bad because it looks like us, but don't say everything is good because it's us.
You have to be discerning, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I also firmly believe that it's one thing to look at artists and rely upon artists to help us to look into the depths of who we are. Mm-hmm. And it's another thing to be active in our support for artists and art. Sure.
And are those two things mutually exclusive? I think they kind of, I think there's some overlay there as well. But, we can also be like, okay, don't be afraid to, critique.
I agree.
Me, or anyone else. But some people don't want to be critiqued. They just want you to say
all the accolades.
Yeah. I know who I am. I have a mirror at home.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Now let's get on with the art.
Yeah. And I guess I'm actually saying the opposite of what you said earlier. And that is that there's art, there's the artist, there's a character within the art. And sometimes when we are critiquing, we should remember that there's encouragement you can give, there's critique that you absolutely should give, and there's the very real support, because we have to support each other.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not all looking up at whomever or whatever, whichever entities you believe can help, those people up there. Sometimes the job is to look across the table and support someone.
Yes. And we have to be honest about the fact that there are some of us as artists who are on that BS as well. Yeah. And so I'm not going to just say it's good just because it's us. Mm-hmm. If you're not, but it's subjective.
Yeah.
But I think I've been around long enough to know when someone's really trying to do someone else's thing with our face.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited to see this project.
So am I. Oh yeah, we were just looking at footage. We're getting the sound synced up right now, and I'm looking forward to showing it. I've never been afraid of showing my art, so I can only learn from it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much
for taking time to come and chat with me. This has been really warm. Really warm. Very interesting. And I think that there are so many gems and lessons for anyone, whether they're an artist or whether they recognize that they're an artist or not. So many gems that you've shared. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I think we need it for each other. We need it for the world.
That's right.
And which means we need it for each other.
That's right.
Okay, so
exactly. And thank you to Lynette.
Yes, Miss Davis. I've been calling her Miss Davis.
Have you? I'm going to call her Miss Davis.
Since she was 11 years old, I was like, yes, Miss Davis. So I said,
the next time she and I speak, I shall refer to her as Miss Davis.
Yes.
Yeah, but she did a wonderful thing here. Thank you. I can see so. Why she thought that this would be a good conversation.
Me too.
I appreciate you, sir.
I appreciate you, man.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Hey, cheers.